Here is the result I got from a test I ran for a mid-sized European shoe brand, and in this video I'm going to show you a breakdown of this test. So I initially came up with the idea while looking at Heatmaps on Microsoft Clarity, and I realized inside of the cart that people were just not adding more products to their cart. So basically the upsells were not working, and there can be many reasons for that. It can be because the incentive is not good enough, the discount. That's the offer, or it can be that the product is not really congruent. Like if you're buying a pair of shoes, maybe you don't want to buy another pair of shoes, or it could have been like buy two get one free or something like this. So there are many things we could have tested around the offer, or we could basically just have changed which products are recommended, and maybe instead of just like another pair of shoes, it would have been better to add shoelaces or things like that. But I thought about focusing on the text that we have above the upsells, because in this cart we don't have so many customization. This is obviously a mock-up, but just to give you an idea of what the brand is. I cannot show you which brand it is for client confidentiality around the numbers that I'm going to show you. But this was the idea, and I thought about basically changing the copywriting of recommended products, which sounds very generic, and just like most DTC brands cart, with something that is a bit more axed toward urgency, like today's deals. And this is to instill fear of missing out in people's mind, where they realize that this is only today that they can get this specific discount. So some of the hypothesis was, if we change recommended products copy for today's deals, people will feel more urgency and fear of missing out, which should get more of them adding extra product to the cart and ultimately boost revenue per visitor, because obviously that would increase AOV. And even if it decreases a bit conversion rate, then at least the revenue per visitor will increase because the AOV would be a lot higher. So this was the initial hypothesis. And so I ran the test and I got minus 12% revenue per visitor, statistically significant. We can see the breakdown here. So we've got 30,000 visitors per variant. And the way I like to test is basically try to find trigger points on website where basically we have a big swing, whether it's up or down. I'm just trying to see something that is actually moving the needle, not, plus or minus 1, 2, 3%. Even though, having multiple wins at like 2 or 3% can be good. It's like incremental gains. But if we can find, a big plus 7% or minus 8% increase or decrease in revenue per visitor, we know that moving something, like changing something on a specific part of the website, will have a big impact on the bottom line. And so here, having this test results, I knew that changing this copywriting for this specific brand has a big impact on the revenue. And this is quite not surprising because we don't have much customization in the cart. In the cart, people have very high purchasing intent, and it's obviously above the fold, it's obviously on mobile. So I knew that changing this copywriting would have a big impact. So I came up with the idea of basically testing multiple variations. So what I like to do when I find a big negative test like this is run fast iteration to try to find exactly which copywriting or which image or which UX tweaking will actually increase conversions. Usually this is based on data, but here my idea was to basically use one variation with social proof, saying something like, here is how many customers we have, or we have like 30,000 happy customers, etc. Brand's main USP is basically showcasing your most important brand unique selling points. Could be 50-day money back guarantee, could be try before you buy, things like that. Then product's main benefit, this is highly specific to what you're selling. Here it could be the comfort, it could be the quality, it could be the features of the shoes. And scarcity is just basically saying those items are low in stock, order now before we sell out. And so obviously the hypothesis is that then revenue per visitor will increase because we've already seen that this part of the cart has a real impact on revenue. So I come up with 4 different copywriting changes and basically run a team test, an A, B, and team test. So we have like basically 4 variations of the test. And if you're not familiar with A, B, and test, or if you are, basically it is having more variations instead of just 2, and sending the traffic equally to all of those variations. And quick side note, if you've ever run A/B and test, you probably know that normally the more variants you test, the higher your risk of a false positive. That's because in traditional testing, that is called frequentist testing, you're looking at p-values, and if you test a lot of stuff at once, then you accidentally increase the chances of finding a winner just by luck. Well, I run this through Intelligems, which uses Bayesian statistics instead of Frequentist. And the main difference is that in Frequentist testing, you're asking, assuming there's no real difference, how likely is this result, which is kind of a roundabout. In Bayesian testing, you're asking, given the data we see, how likely is it that variant B is actually better than variant A? So it's a lot more intuitive. So when you use tools like Intelligems, which uses Bayesian method, you don't worry about setting alpha levels or adjusting for multiple comparisons. You're making decisions based on probabilities, like this variant is 95% likely to be better, rather than, trying to control error rates against null hypothesis. So thanks to Intelligems, I didn't need to manually adjust for multiple comparisons. I just waited until one variant had a 95% or higher chance of being the best and called it. And so out of the 4 variations, here is the breakdown that we have. And as you can see, I run the test slightly longer to have a bit more visitors. So we had about 30,000 visitors in the first variant. And in this one, because it is an A/B/N test, I'm always trying to have a bit more visitors, between 20-30% more, so that it is more accurate. And as you can see, we have in net revenue big differences between the different variants. And if we would have just run the variance that was about urgency, which is the fourth one, then the test would have been negative, as you can see, by -1%. But then all the other variants were positive, as you can see, variant 3 and 4, 2 and 3, which are product main benefit and brand's main USP. Those were positive tests, but a big win of this test is really variation 2, which was about the social proof, so reminding people of how many customers have bought before. And this is what drove the biggest increase. So we've got almost plus 13% increase in revenue per visitor. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you learned something, please put a like, it really helps. And you can subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting more A/B test ideas and more winning tests in the future. So thanks for watching.